Shopify Rebellion, 2024 Game Changer Champions. This roster as a whole has redefined what it means to dominate within the GC scene, becoming the first team to win the International Championship back-to-back with the same full roster, and also making history with the first transfer of a GC player to a T1 VCT team. Their performance at the Berlin Game Changer Championship 2024 wasn't just dominant, it was a masterclass. 4 matchups, a clean upper bracket run, 5 different maps played across the 9 against the best GC teams in the world. And through it all, not a single map dropped. A truly immaculate run. They consistently showcased unmatched adaptability, pinpoint utility coordination, and flawless team execution. So what is it that makes them so effective? In this video, we'll dive into some of their most pivotal rounds, breaking down strategies, highlighting standout individual plays, and exploring the unparalleled team cohesion that made them the best attacking team in the tournament. Firstly, we're going to take a look at one of their gun rounds on Abyss versus G2 in the upper bracket finals. Shopify again start with an A-heavy default, passively waiting for any type of instant aggression from G2, but they are playing heavy for B main control and not challenging anywhere else. So as they group up towards A to begin the execute, they still have a numbers advantage, but there is still utility in their path. They clear the first close angle with a shock dart to create space for Fluorescent, who utilizes it with a quick updraft dash to advance into the site, without being slowed or tagged and killed via the trips. This is a similar story for the second shock dart that ends up hitting and destroying both traps. This is a massive hit to G2, as the traps were the last hope to get any kill and any advantage before the spike gets planted and they're left in an equal number retake. Getting Amy and Petra in Heaven locked out of the site hold right at the beginning of the execute basically ensures a 5v5 retake, unless of course a blind spam hits, which you can see G2 trying as a last ditch attempt to put an early dent into Shopify's post plan. And considering Shopify's utility and ultimate advantage was definitely something that G2 was to worry about. This realization that G2 have opted for an offside defense, likely repositioning for a retake, prompts Fluorescent to focus on holding backside to security, from which G2 have 4 players funneling through. It took 3 seconds after the spike was planted for 4 Shopify players to be back in main, leaving only Fluorescent as the site player, soon to be droned out for a precise position, but that's where the null command from Alexis in main comes through, destroys the drone, forces G2 into a dry peak, and floods through security to site. Only issue is Floor. The first layer of this post plant goes above and beyond what was expected, gets 2 on the peak, robbing G2 of key utility on Sova and Omen. Now comes the second layer. Shopify's number advantage, time advantage, and they smoke themselves off. Yes, smoking yourself off from the spike might sound silly, but this is what helped them close out the round without losing anyone else. Although the site had been fully retaken, with the spike planted default, this is the perfect position to spam from both sides of main, and with no threat of a flank, Neuer even rejoins to support. This smoke gives 2 options to G2, Hail Mary and try and stick, or to push through. With the time restraint, G2 opt for both. Mimi on the spike and Rescue to peek and push through the smoke to attempt to disrupt the spam. The only issue is, with so many players in main, both options are covered, both getting gunned down within seconds, without much of a fighting chance. Other than Fluorescent solo aggression, no other engagement was offered up to G2 because they strategically decided to withdraw behind Mel's smoke. Another round Shopify stunned was on Pearl against XIPTO. I want to focus on a low investment round from Shopify Rebellion and how they were able to dismantle a full buy operator round. For Shopify, this starts with full presence towards mid, before simultaneously splitting off into both Art and Link. With the help of Mel's smoke to cut off certain angles, Flora is able to pounce on the isolated Neon in connector. Without letting go of W, both Mel and Floor continue to push and take a second defender off the board. With 2 guns now being picked up and recycled over to Mel and Alexis, Floor pushes the issue into B-Link but is picked off by the operator of Alexi. During this time, Neuer and Zero got blocked in Art by a Harbour Cascade, which as Fluorescent falls means all of the Shopify are boxed into connector. A smoke and flash go out as an attempt to redirect attention of XIPTO and distract from their endgame plan of A. Grouped up as 4, they shift out and find an empty bomb site. Tara, isolated as the A anchor with Harbour Ultimate online, opts for the retake and plays safe and waits for reinforcements. Ultimate gets popped on the retake, with a Harbour Reckoning clearing out entirety of A site, XIPTO find themselves trying to defuse with no info on the 4 players remaining of Shopify, on top of a barrage of utility raining down on the spike non-stop. Even picking up the kill onto Shirazi leaves remaining two players in an impossible situation with no other option than just to save. Looking at it broadly, it seems simple: just go kill mid, find an empty site, and play post-plant. But it's worth digging deeper, because it's only the small details that make a seemingly unattainable round a win. Shopify's approach to this round demonstrated their ability to innovate under pressure. With limited weaponry, their strategy revolved around leveraging numbers and surprise to tilt the odds in their favour. A coordinated push through mid and an aggressive pressure at key choke points created chaos for XIPTO, isolating defenders and disrupting their rotations. By exploiting the confusion, Shopify secured early picks, gained control mid, and stole rifles. The brilliance of their plan lay in small utility adjustments that maintained pressure across the map. After Fluorescent's death, a well-placed re-smoke and flash-in link kept the threat of a B push, pulling defenders out of positioning and weakening their map extremities. This misdirection opened up A site, where Shopify was able to plant the spike with minimal resistance. Another key aspect of Shopify's success was their masterclass in post-plant coordination and utility layering. Falling back to A main allowed them to leverage the number advantage and utility kit to turn a precarious 4v3 into an unbreakable fortress. Each piece of utility, from nano swarms to shock darts, was meticulously timed, creating a relentless cycle of denial that left XIPTO with no opportunity to defuse, ultimately forcing a save. Even when XIPTO's attempted retake using ultimate, Shopify's utility, precise smoke placements, and disciplined crossfire setups in A main proved insurmountable. This strategy left their opponents with 2 equally undesirable options: push through a barrage of utility and smokes, or gamble on an unlikely defuse under consistent threat. Round 11 demonstrated a similar post-plant setup, this time with Shopify committing their entire team to A main. Once again, Shopify's discipline and layered utility denied XIPTO any chance of a retake. Fluorescent's presence was crucial, anchoring their chaos-inducing style and holding back desperate pushes into A main. These rounds highlighted Shopify's ability to thrive under pressure, blending creativity with flawless execution to dictate the pace of the game. By denying XIPTO any foothold, Shopify turned their low-buy strategy into a decisive statement, demonstrating superior positioning, utility usage, and teamwork. Finally, I want to break down round 12 of the FALCONS Haven matchup, one of the cleanest executes I've seen in a long time. From the beginning of the round, showcasing a masterful mix of coordination, variability in setups, to mid-rounding and site execute utility usage, patience, and teamwork. This round is truly a great example of what happens when everything falls perfectly into place. The round itself begins with a calculated risk. A full C start is called. Leveraging earlier rounds where the teams conditioned their opponents to expect A aggression and A finishes, this time Mary pushes aggressively down C main with the help of a paranoia from Garage. Issue is, everyone from Shopify is there, and counter to utility and stuns from Fluorescent comes through for Shopify and catches the overextension and securing a critical 4v5 advantage early on into the round. This early pick sets the stage for a deliberate mid-round reset. While the initial success comes from Mary's failed push, the discipline afterwards is key. The team resets across the map, Zero uses her drone to clear close A, ensuring no lurking threats remain, keeping pressure and threat of A finish in the mind of the defenders, and then the rest of the team repositions and situates themselves outside Garage. The resulting setup is surgical, with Mel and Sarah taking long control, and Noya, Alexis and Floor regrouping and popping into Garage with Floor's ultimate and a flash from Alexis. But there's a pause. An ultimate test of patience as the Garage prong to this execute gets put on hold for 10 seconds to allow utility to develop and land before launching and pouncing into the site with a Neon ultimate. This delay creates the perfect opportunity to dissect the defense and isolate the 2 site anchors with Sarah's recon dart that tagged both players, illuminating the Garage players to the site hold positions, but also the Hunter's Fury that was popped, forcing Toki into the open and even hitting Mad V's ISO shield. The execution is precise and layered, from the zoning ultimate from Sarah to the cross-site stun and flashes from Alexis. This opens a direct entry path into the Cypher floor, who's able to easily pick off the site anchors one by one, leaving the rest of the team to settle into a heavy main post-plant situation with 5 alive, and the remaining defenders are left scrambling. The team further denies any opportunity for the defenders to isolate fights, with no flank threats, even Neuer repositions to long for additional support. Why was this round so effective? For me, the main part was the patience of the garage push, along with a combination of preparation and implementation. From conditioning the opponents with earlier A aggression to leveraging utility to break the defense wide open. This round is a masterclass to showcase Shopify's team play, but also the presence on the map of individuals. Mainly Sarah and Alexis with the supporting utility that laid out a red carpet entry for flooring to the C site. Every piece of utility, every movement, and every decision served a purpose, culminating in an effortlessly clean round to end the half. Now you've seen a breakdown of what goes into creating such a well-rounded roster, with examples from the championships itself. But there comes a question. With the recent transfer of their duelist, who spearheaded many of their attacking rounds, will Floor's departure be the end of this 2-year-long roster domination within the GC scene, or is the system strong enough to support this change? I do hope that you've enjoyed this video and type of content from me. Make sure you leave a like if you gain more of an insight into the inner workings of a successful game changer team, or even learnt a little bit more about competitive Valorant and want to see more. Nice, I can go on a holiday to Romania now.